We can show you images from in the past hour of the ballot counting taking place in Donetsk region. For more, let's go to correspondent Gulliver Cragg, who's in Kyiv. The referendum is over, and it must be a moment of anxiety where you are.
Well, you mentioned earlier that they're counting the ballots, Francois. Can we really even be sure of that? There are no independent observers of this so-called referendum. They've already announced results which I believe give more than 96% in favour of joining Russia across all of these regions, although I believe that the so-called counting is not yet finished. Seen from Kyiv, this is absolutely just a fake series of 4 referendums. And Catherine Colonna, the French foreign minister who was in Kyiv today, described it in the same way. She said that it was just going through the motions of holding these kind of votes. Certainly some effort has been made to go through the motions and have pictures for the TV, and certainly they have been able to find some people in these regions who are enthusiastic about the idea of joining Russia. They do exist, particularly in Donetsk and Luhansk regions, but all the anecdotal evidence that we have, everything that people who are coming out of those regions, fleeing those regions, have been telling our correspondents and other media suggests that support, particularly in the south, for joining Russia is very low indeed, and resistance to Russian occupation is pretty strong. And also, we really must not forget that more than half of the people in these regions have fled because of the Russian occupation, and of course they were not able to get a, in inverted commas, vote.
I want to ask you more about the French foreign minister's trip to Kyiv, but first, Gulliver, there's that overarching concern, and that is we don't know exactly what Vladimir Putin is going to make of this referendum. Is he going to lay claim to the parts that he controls?
I'm sorry, I can't hear your question, Francois, but I think that you were going to ask me what the mood is in Kyiv. I rather suspect, given Vladimir Putin's not very covert threat to use nuclear weapons. And
yes,
certainly that is something that people here are talking about a lot. People are worried. People are saying the mood is a bit like before the invasion, when most people in Ukraine didn't believe it would happen, right up until the 24th of February, when it did happen. And people, of course, are inclined to think that Vladimir Putin would not be so crazy as to take that step of using nuclear weapons. But at the same time, we didn't think he'd be so crazy as to invade. So, of course, there's a level of nervousness. France's position on this, as Catherine Colonna made clear, has been to not engage in an escalation of rhetoric, to not respond to Vladimir Putin's threats in the way that actually many experts believe he's hoping for by sort of rerunning the Cuban Missile Crisis, whose 60th anniversary is coming up. And so at the moment, the position seems to be not to rise to the bait, and for Ukraine's armed forces to carry on as they have been doing for the last few weeks, slowly but surely recapturing more territory in the east and south of the country.